Welcome, welcome. All right, I've got a good show for you guys. I'm going to be going over what we need to be looking at going into this week so we can get a big picture view. Now, there are some hot plays this week that I'm going to draw your attention to today. We're going to cover a couple of them. I'm going to save Bitcoin for tomorrow's Technical Tuesdays with Tim. It's going to be a little bit heavier on crypto. I'm going to talk about what we need to be looking at in the market, some of the plays and setups of earnings that I think should be given focus right now, and give you a big picture view to guide us through the rest of this week. This is the Stocks with Josh show. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Hit that like. It sends the video out to more viewers. And hit that subscribe if you haven't joined this fast-growing community. Talk about stocks and crypto on the daily, giving out predictions and guidance and technical analysis. So what do we have going on this week? We've got three things I want you guys to be keeping an eye on. The first one is obviously earnings. We're in the middle of earnings seasons, and there's a couple important earning plays that I'm in that I'm going to bring to your guys' attention and give you some technicals on today. The first one is Disney. Now, Disney is going to report tomorrow before the bell, so very early. I hear some people talking about them reporting after the bell, but they're going to report in the morning tomorrow, which means largely you need to take your positions today if you're going to do any form of trading. I'm going to give you guys some support and resistance so you know where it might move and where you might pick up some more for your long-term portfolio. Largely, Disney has got the worst behind it. I called it a huge buy when it fell beneath $80. And I think that even though we will have pullback and we will find places of support, I'm still believing that largely the absolute worst low for Disney has already been put in the books. And I favor the overall longer move to the upside. But it's the charts that'll give us the specific, less risky places to enter. And I'm going to go over that with you guys. Now, Palantir is going to report earnings today after the bell. I gave an update to my thoughts on Palantir over in the Stock Squad Patreon. That's the Discord with myself, Keenan Grace, StockMo, and Stock Up with Larry Jones. I gave my opinion as to how Palantir was going to play out, and that one's going to be reporting after the bell today. And largely, it typically goes up 5% before earnings. Already, before it climbs any higher today, it's up 6%. Now, I'm actually treating Palantir as my Lotto trade for the week, giving it the benefit of the doubt. And I tell you, I think I'm going to be a winner either way on Palantir, because if we do get a pop-up move, I'll make some money. But if this thing crashes, I just keep saying, bring it back to me where I can load up some more, because I think Palantir is going to be a future winner. I think it's following AI into the future, and it's well positioned. It's the right type of company that right now to some could be slightly overvalued, but they're going to catch up. It is a growth opportunity, and so I think I'm excited about either direction. If it comes, I'm going to buy. If it comes down, I'm going to buy some more. If it pops, I'm going to make some money. Now, the second thing that I want to bring to your guys' attention today is the most important data point of this week, which is the Consumer Confidence Report. Now, why is this important? Because this is one of the few reports that is referred to as a leading indicator, not a lagging indicator. Sometimes some of the data points are pointing to what has just happened, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to continue to happen in the future. But consumer sentiment is very much a leading indicator, which means that if consumers' confidence is down in the quarter ahead, it means that people are just simply going to spend less money if they don't think that things are getting better. If they don't see their financial situation as good, then they begin to shut down. They begin to try to save more, and the end result is an economy that's shrinking. And so the consumer sentiment report this Friday is going to be the biggest thing that's going to set the tone for how this week ends, as well as going into next week. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the consumer sentiment was on edge. So they report Friday, May 10th at 10 a.m. We're going to be watching carefully that report, and I will definitely be talking about it over this weekend. Now, right now, the expectation is that the consumer sentiment would come down. It's currently, the last report was at 77.2, and the expectation is it would come down to 77, so a little bit of a drop. If the drop is greater than that, that's when the market's going to get scared and go risk off. Right now, the market is going risk on because they believe that the Fed is likely to give us some cuts this year based on the bad jobs report that we just got, and that the market wants those cuts because the market eventually wants easy money. When the Fed does cut, we are going to see the market pull back. But the end result of the cycle shift changing from tightening to loosening is that stocks and companies will have more access to money because it's going to get cheaper, and then they're going to do better in the long run. That's how it works. All right, I'm going to get into the hot plays here in just a minute. Let me take a very quick station break to do a couple things. One, ask you guys again, hit that like. If you need these commentaries and explanations on the market, hit the subscribe to keep getting them. And I also want to point out the MOOMOO investment app, my link that I'm going to leave in the description of the video. If you use it, you can get more stock than if you don't use it. You can get up to 10 fractional shares of the Magnificent Seven right now. That's their offer for the United States. It's available in the US, Australia, and Canada. You can click on the link to get the exact offer for your country. These guys have some of the best mobile trading tools, the best indicators, and in a way, I view trading on MOOMOO like this. If you don't have a ton of money to buy indicators and buy data, they give it to you for free. They give you free deep level 2 data. Now you say, well, I don't know what that is. Well, stay connected to this page and I will do my best to teach those things. But I'll tell you through experience, MOOMOO's giving away a lot of good data to try to draw people. A lot of the types of things I look at, they've got in there. They give you support and resistance. They give you how the put to call ratio is shaking up to let you know how people are investing in the stock currently. They give you unusual options. A lot of the things that people need, they're giving you. So click on that link and check it out. Okay. Now, like I said, tomorrow I'm going to go deeper into Bitcoin and I'm going to do it with Tim. Today, I just wanted to get some big stock plays on the table for you guys. I want you guys to win and I'm going to give you some winning scenarios and some winning perspectives. Now, Apple, I covered it yesterday. I was pretty bearish in my overall view of what the coming days for Apple looks like. Fact is, there was another large insider sell for Apple. And so insiders are selling. Warren Buffett is selling. But that doesn't mean that it's ready to go back right now because as I've been telling you, the S&P overall, big tech overall, I think is swinging back to the top of the range, which means that Apple will swing up with it as well. Remember, I said yesterday that Apple, they're not going to bring it down to the floor and then sell heavy at that point. They're going to sell it down to the bottom of the range and then they're going to let it float back up on lower volume and then they're going to sell it down to the bottom of the range. Big investment firms have a lot of Apple. It's going to take a long time to unwind, and they're going to be selling it on green days. What is today? It's a green day. Let me show you exactly what this looks like on the S&P 500 heat map. So here we have a pretty good green day in the market. Meta's up. Google, Microsoft are doing good. You've got NVIDIA doing the best. Even Eli Lilly's up, and of course, Tesla's up. But you've got Apple down. So here we have yet again, in my view, I'm going to say, someone might say it's circumstantial. I'm going to say that what's happening, watch if Apple is red on green days. So that is my big concern on Apple, and it's continuing to play out the way that I'm expecting. And so even though it's not crashing right now, and actually, I think we could even go back up and retest the recent high because I think that it's slowly going to be moving up with the market. We have to watch and see how it performs and watch its up and down price action because I think that's telling a story and I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. And I can tell you that when or if Apple does eventually break beneath $165 and essentially the technical floor falls out from beneath it, bringing it all the way down to 145, it will drag on the overall market. People will begin to view it as a bearish sentiment. I'm pointing it out to you guys early. But to be clear, and I think I've actually said this 3 times, right now, I'm watching for a continued move to the upside. And when we get up to around 190, that's where I would feel safer to hedge or short my position back to the downside. So just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, looking for ideal entries to short Apple or to buy puts to the downside to hedge my Apple position. All right, guys, let's get into the next one. All right, now we've got to talk about Disney. Now, my bias on Disney, as I said at the open, is that the worst is behind it. Now, that means that it's going to go up in stages, but it's going to consolidate and it's going to do it one step at a time. Right now, my bias is to the upside on Disney. I see them possibly getting as high as 120 to 128. That's the resistance range that I see ahead of it. Support down beneath it is around a 111 to 105. Not saying it's going to get that low, but I think that we are going to find a spot over the course of the next couple months that's going to be a solid area of support. Right now, it's around $111. I gave that to you guys when we were back up at 128. Let's dive into the chart. Okay, I've got 119.40 marked out here because I think that's the minimum expected up move for Disney right now. But this can absolutely shoot up as high as this 122, 126, and 129. So it would not shock me if we entered back into this ascending channel. At the moment, I think we're going to hit 119.40. Now, beneath that, the support that it consolidated at was right around 111. You guys were given both the sell opportunity. The last time I talked about it, I said this is a good time to take some profit because we've gone up enough for now. And then I told you it would come back to 112. It came back to around 111, consolidated there. Beautiful opportunity to buy. And now I think at bare minimum, 119. But if we then get a candle that opens and closes back within this ascending channel, then we could go all the way to the top of the range back at 129. That's the exact game plan. I also have the stochastic RSI up here just to show you that on the daily time frame, we got a complete and total reset. We even consolidated here down at the bottom. And typically when we spent that much time, we now have enough of a oversold condition to produce the bullish momentum to push back to the top of the range. We're only halfway there. And so I absolutely think that we will get back up to a full momentum move on Disney, back up to 100% on the stochastic RSI. And that's going to land us between that 120 and 129 level. So my bias on Disney is absolutely to the upside. All right, I've got to cover Tesla simply because I haven't covered it in a while, and I'm going to keep my coverage pretty simple. Let's go into the chart. Okay, you guys have seen this chart before. I've got the LUXALGO indicator, which is extremely helpful if you guys don't know how to set support and resistance levels, stop loss levels. It does it for you. I'm on the daily time frame, but you could go to the 4-hour time frame. You could go to the 1-hour time frame. It'll give you different stop loss areas and different targets for the day. I'll leave a link for that in the top pinned comment as well. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you guys about Tesla. My bias right now for this Tesla move that we're currently in to come to an end, I don't see why we wouldn't get all the way across the channel from where we took our long position at 140. I don't see why we wouldn't get all the way to 212. Now, I'm going to help you guys with the line in the sand. This is one of the most important things that you guys can do right is set your stop loss. So let me pull in a stop here for you guys. So in my view, at this point, everything beneath 175 is sort of the bear zone. And what that means is if a candle opens beneath 175 and closes beneath 175, then you've got to accept the reality that everything from that price all the way down to the current support of 140 is on the table. Now, what I really liked about the price action recently, we had this beautiful gap up breakout move. We got all the way to 200, which was a call of mine. We came back and back tested 175, which is an area of structural support, and now we've come up. I really don't see why this move won't continue all the way back up to 212. But this general zone, as you guys can see, LUXALGO is referring to this as a resistance zone. And so this move is largely going to continue until we work all the way through and into this resistance zone and get some bearish candles, which at the moment we don't have. And at that point, I do think that we will yet again perhaps come back to this 175 level. But I'm just telling you that right now I'm going to hold on to a bullish view regarding Tesla. I have begun to see a ton of commentary regarding Tesla shift. So here's what's important. We went, if you guys remember that when we were down at 140, the FUD surrounding Tesla was through the roof. It was absolutely crazy. Downgrades coming left and right. People just talking about how competitive of a situation it was for Tesla. And one of the things I had said to you then was that this was an overreaction and that we were going to end up back at 220, 240 over the course of the next quarter. And in particular, what we were going to be wanting to see was more commentary from Tesla on robotaxis as well as Olympus. And a ton of new videos and communication has come out in both of those areas. And it really makes it seem as if robotaxis is getting very, very close. And I'm going to do a deeper dive and have a conversation with you guys about the big impact that that would have on Uber and Lyft. Because if Tesla is able to bring out that type of technology here in the next 2 to 3 years, it means that Uber and Lyft are going to be the ones that get absolutely hit the hardest. Right now, the software has been built. You can and will be able to summon a car that you don't have to deal with any persons. Now, just let's be honest with each other, right? I actually like people. When I get in the car, Uber or the Lyft, I'm chatty. I talk, I get to know people, and I've had great conversations that I often incorporate into other conversations because people are great. But I can tell you that for my wife, my daughter, situations where traveling at night, I would be more comfortable if I knew that they were in a secure, locked car with no driver, no personal agenda other than a vehicle to take them from point A to point C, right? And so there's just going to be a ton of reasons for people to move towards this technology, which means that Uber and Lyft might be essentially falling fruit, dead on the vine. So I'd love to hear from you guys, whether you're long Uber or Lyft and you think I'm nuts, or whether or not they're going to perhaps adapt in some way that I'm not seeing right now. But I can tell you, Tesla is that tech company. Don't underestimate them. I largely think the worst is behind us. I pointed it out to you guys 3 times before in the history of the company. It had only gotten that bearish, and that was a wonderful time to buy. Those who are following me were loading up at 140, taking their risk positions and going long, and we've had a huge reward. We went up $60 roughly, right underneath $200, but right now thinking that it's going to continue to move to the upside, and we're going to probably be looking for us to build a longer term support at around that 175. But overall, my bias is still that these markets are going to move up. But like I said at the beginning of the video, we've got Feds talking this week, and the last time we had Fed officials speaking, specifically Neil Kashkari, he caused the markets to drop 2%. And don't think that these Feds are not working together as a group. They absolutely are. Sometimes they use these other Feds that are not Jerome Powell. They use a Fed to come out and taper a perspective within the market. They are working together as a team, largely, I believe. And so when he came out before and he spoke and he caused a little bit of hesitation in the market, that's what the market leaders wanted. So he's speaking tomorrow. Another thing that we got to keep ourselves aware of because it will impact the market. Guys, I hope I got everything out today. It was a lot of content for you. We've talked about a number of different companies. Tomorrow's going to be a big crypto day, getting prepared for that with Tim. Don't forget to join me there, Technical Tuesdays. Tomorrow. And I hope this was helpful. Hit that like, hit the subscribe to keep getting more. Peace and blessings to you guys. Drop a heart and say hi in the comments. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.